Hi and welcome to today's live chapter reading from the Playing series by Stephanie Queen, courtesy of Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue, Hunter. Stopping in the corridor was the first mistake I made that day, but it wasn't my last. Not that I have any regrets. It would be like regretting who I am. The scuffling sound came from the dimly lit cement tunnel to my right. The coach's offices were down that way. I was about to move on, and I heard what sounded like a sob. A woman's strangled voice said, "Stop." The blood froze in my veins. I turned, still not moving. "You're hurting me." The words set my frozen brain on fire. Blinded by furious heat, I rushed down the corridor. Urgency dictated my actions. No thinking required. It was all instinct. That wasn't my second mistake. There was no way I'd take back what I did next. It was necessary. In a few long strides, I found them. Coach Nutter had a woman against the wall. He didn't notice me. He was busy yanking her skirt up with one hand while he held his other hand over her mouth. He was muttering something close to her ear, but I didn't much care for what he was saying. I reached in and grabbed Nutter by the collar, yanking him back from the wall, from the woman. Recognition flashed. I knew her. Knew who she was anyway. One of the team's cheerleaders, Danielle. Even with surprise on my side, that pause cost me. Nutter turned around quick and took a swing. The blow struck me partially in the jaw, but I was quicker, stronger, younger, and I used all my advantages to knock him on his ass with a left-right combination that exploded his nose and put him out cold. Turning away from Nutter, he fell from the floor. I went to Danielle. "You okay?" She collapsed onto me in a heap, tears streaming. She nodded her head with unconvincing violence. I patted her back for a second and she calmed down enough to talk. "Let's get out of here." Glancing at Nutter on the floor, I noticed him stir. I was glad and disappointed at the same time. Glad I didn't kill him. Disappointed I hadn't made the bastard suffer more. I said, "We need to call an ambulance or get a team doctor or something. For Nutter." She backed up from me, fear in her face. "Are you crazy? You'd get in trouble. People would find out about." Tears started again. Then she came forward, grabbing a bunch of my shirt front in her fists. "He threatened me. Threatened to tell my husband things. To have me thrown off the squad. Ruin me if I said a word. I believe him. You can't tell anyone. I would lose everything. My promotion, deals, the modelling, the television ads. Take it easy. You haven't done anything wrong, Danny. He shouldn't get away with this. It's our word against his, and there's two of us." I held on to her arms, hoping to infuse reason into her. Judging by the wild, desperate look in her eyes, it was a long shot. "You can't tell anyone you found me here. No one can know." She stopped crying now. "Not even a hint," she whispered in a shaky voice. "He called me. Got me down here on a false pretext. He's been sniffing around for weeks. People will think I was interested when I was only being polite. I know how this works." As she spoke, her voice became calm, reasonable, convincing. I nodded, patted her arms, hated what I was hearing. Heaving a breath, I said, "All right, Danny." I paused and knew I had no choice, not in my mind. I continued in a confident, determined voice. "I give you my word. I won't say anything about you being here. I won't ever mention your name, no matter what." I looked back at Nutter. He was trying to prop himself up on his elbow, looking woozy. "I don't think Nutter will mention you either." He looked up at me, pure malice contorting his face. "You're done, Hunter Cantata. You're off this team. When I get through with you, there won't be an NFL team out there who'll want you." My second mistake was not believing him. He was only an assistant coach, the offensive coordinator. He didn't have the juice to undermine me, or so I thought. He had the juice, and he was a bully, and he put me through hell in the next few weeks. Because he'd heard my promise, knew I wouldn't defend myself, he launched everything he had at me, which meant I was gone, off the team and praying for another chance. But I could take the punishment, far better than Danielle could. I was a tough bastard. Chapter 1, Hunter. The last thing I expected when I stepped into the office of the Boston Militia, my new team, was to see Coach Marini sitting on the couch next to some chick, waiting for me. I looked at Coach and nodded, but my eyes slid to hers as if magnets pulled at me. She was young, but that didn't stop her man-eater smile from taking a bite out of my soul right there and then. Her dark, almost burgundy hair fell over her shoulders in sexy waves like molten glass, long and hot. Kind of like I felt, looking at her. Meeting her brown eyes, even for an instant I could see the gold specks. I guess they're called the colour hazel. Ruthlessly I turned away. "Come have a seat, Hunter," Coach Marini spread a hand, indicating the chair opposite the couch. The chicklet tracked me with her eyes as I moved forward and sat. No one ever called me shy, so I stared right back at her. But this was Coach's show, so I didn't say a word. "Meet my daughter, Catalina." Bam! That was a shoe made of lead dropping to the bottom of my gut. The siren was the coach's daughter. Fantastic. She's recently joined the Boston Militia Organisation in the communications department. He turned to his daughter with that stereotypical proud papa look, as if she were a monument. I tried to breathe calmly, thought of my mother, thought of the money. Catalina rolled her eyes, then turned to me and said, "Cat, call me Cat." Her voice was cool and professional. I still said nothing because I had no idea what to think, let alone what to say. I couldn't very well say what I felt, tell Coach to take his daughter Cat home and lock her up for at least a few years, for everyone's sake, or at least for mine. 5 minutes in her presence, no words exchanged, and I already knew she was like kryptonite to me. "Catalina, meet Hunter Quintana, our newest team member. He may have come to us under less than ideal circumstances, but I know he has potential to be a difference maker on the team." "Thanks for giving me the chance, Coach." I meant it. Coach wasn't bullshitting me. Word was Marini was a straight shooter, and that was the vibe I got, in spite of Cat. He cleared his throat and nodded, giving me a no-nonsense glare. "I imagine you're wondering what the hell my daughter is doing in this meeting, but you're too polite to ask." His daughter rolled her eyes again. I smiled, keeping with the coach's notion that I might be polite. Not a word anybody else used to describe me in any recent memory. What the hell? An improvement over my last coach's parting words. "You're nothing but a fuck-up." "Daddy, stop torturing the man." Cat turned her intense hazel eyes on me, a smile hesitating at the corners of her too luscious mouth, and said, "I'm your handler." My first instinct was to get up and run, followed fast by my next very powerful instinct to pull her up from the lap across the couch across from me, sit her in my lap, and ravage her, starting with her mouth and moving down to the rest of her shapely body with a thoroughness that would leave her branded to my memory, every last bit of her sensual, breathtaking essence. Breaking from the cool demeanour I prided myself in, I squirmed. Only a slight movement, but damn, it's not like I'm a schoolboy. It's not like I haven't seen and bedded my share of beauties, had my share of lovelies throwing themselves at me. Hell, I should be impervious to attractive young ladies by now. But this attraction was something different. This was something new for me. This was something compelling, some kind of kismet crap, that if I believed in kismet. Maybe it was chemistry. My mother used to tell me about it. Used to tell me that once I found my mate, I would be struck and there would be no going back. Call it love struck, or hit by Cupid's bow. She insisted the myth was real and that she and my father had experienced the strength of the fated mate. It was laughable now, but when I was young, really young, I believed her. I waited for it, looked forward to it, for myself. Then, after college, I'd long forgotten the notion. I was too busy enjoying the abundant variety of ladies who crossed the threshold of my bedroom door to remember, or to care. Until now. Now, I felt the sizzle I felt running through me lit a buzz of hyper-awareness, anticipation of something gathered like a pool of overheated lava rising from the bottom of a volcano. Whatever was going on, every male molecule in me seemed to react to every female molecule in her. What the fuck? I met her eyes to look for clues about whether she felt the same connection. Then I realised there was no way in hell she couldn't feel it. The air in the room was charged with it, sizzled with whatever sparked between us. Not good. That meant her dad, my new coach, probably sensed it too. That was the last thing I needed. Keep your eye on the prize, Hunter. There was only one thing I needed. Money. This was all about the money, and I couldn't afford to forget it. Football equaled payday. I was playing for the money. My agent had concocted the deal to give me maximum incentives in a 1-year contract. That's the only way I could get any deal after the fiasco in LA. I couldn't blow this. We were 4 weeks into the season, and I couldn't afford to lose any more money after the fines I'd had to pay. Everyone in my family counted on me. With my dad gone, I was the head of the family and always would be. This deal with the militia was my one opportunity to deliver what we needed, what my younger siblings needed most out of all: money. Handler, I said. Coach Marini glared at his daughter. She appeared to be impervious. Catalina prepares to be direct. It's a gift best wrapped in patience, and she has yet to learn this lesson. Coach flashed a rare smile at me, but I wasn't fooled. I waited for the official explanation. Let me explain the score, Hunter. You're on a tight leash, and Catalina is in control. Off the field. On the field, you answer to me. I'll be running you hard. Catalina will make sure you stay on message, stay out of trouble outside of the stadium. In other words, I'll be a prisoner in my own home. My words were matter of fact. I welcomed harsh reality, needed the cold slap. Which brings us to step 1, Kat said. Finding your home. After Dad is done with you today, report to my office. She stood and handed me a card. I tore my eyes from her curvy figure skater legs, bare and tanned, close enough for me to reach out and touch. I clenched my hand around the arm of my chair, tight. In addition to her name, title, office location and email address, her office phone number had been written in along with her mobile number. I watched her walk from the room, feeling Coach's eyes on me while I did. When she closed the door, I turned back to him. He knew. His smile froze me. Don't even think about it, son. His low voice, a warning growl, promised certain death to my career if unheeded. I nodded, then I stood. There was nothing I could say. He would measure me by my actions, not any promises I might make. I'll see you in the locker room in 5 minutes. I felt his eyes on me as I walked out the door, his daughter's card burning in my hand like a ball of damned kryptonite.